Gavin Pratt. I'm the Senior Director of Strength and Conditioning for the UFC Performance Institute. Now, I've got an interesting story about the first time I saw Keisers really being put to use. It was when I was in China. So I worked with Olympic-based sports over there, and we had access to the Keiser racks, and there was also some famous sprinting coaches that were working there with some of their track athletes, and some of the work that they did on the Keiser machines in the Olympic Training Centre were phenomenal, and that really piqued my interest, and we're really fortunate to be able to have access to that now with MMA athletes as well. We use Keiser in a multitude of ways, and so I guess to break it down, when you look at a MMA training camp per se, you would have different phases. So return to training, general prep, specific prep, and then fight camp phases. We can use the Keiser throughout all of those phases. So the return to training, as an example, might utilize our Keiser leg press as a really early introduction to just strength and hypertrophy. It's a very simple entry-level exercise to use with athletes that maybe you haven't had much exposure to and you don't know what their training background is. But then we'll utilize it down the road, even in late fight camp. So a week or two before the fight, we're going to start looking at that explosive component, that high velocity movement, because that's really, when we look at things like decay rates, that's when we want to try and target that high velocity outcome, because we need them to keep that for the fight, obviously. One of the benefits of the Keiser machines, both such as leg press and the machines that we can use for the upper body as well, is we can create that violence of action. We don't need to slow the velocities down of their movement. We need them to be fast throughout the entire range of movement. And that's how Keisers work. That pneumatic air resistance is obviously allowing us to accelerate through the whole range of movement rather than putting on the brakes too early. And that's why it's so important for us in MMA. Well, the athletes think that these machines are really cool. And I think they understand that these are movements and outcomes that maybe they haven't trialled in a regular gym. So even if you're thinking of rotational based movements, holding a medicine ball and looking at rotation, how fast they can move a leg press without it coming off their feet, these are all new movements for them, and having that sort of linear strength curve is such a really important part of not only our prescription, but how the athletes utilize it and engage with it.